And people go and started taking animal steroids. And that only stopped when the Olympic Games was on in Sydney. They shut all the vets down. But up until then, Australian vets were supplying the whole fucking world.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
no shit. So I just listed all the things we didn't have. So I went, no child minding, no group fitness, no classes, no sauna, no spa, no pool, no bullshit. And they made me change the word bullshit. It was no BS, just weights, boxing, cardio. And it was my first ad. And then we just stuck with it. There's good consequences to tough decisions.
Yep.
And goes, oh, are you sure you're going to offend someone? I go, I offend people every fucking day. I don't care. I don't want to see a tripod in my gym again.
Yeah.
I've got a call 5 days out, and it was Peter King from the convention centre said, we're padlocking it tonight at midnight, bro. It's over. And shit, I lost 870 grand in one phone call.
Welcome back to the dos&d show. D, looking forward to this one. You know me. I used to love the gym, and I was obsessed with all the bodybuilders growing up, and the Arnold Classic. I used to go to it. Went to it a couple of years in a row. So we're very, very lucky. I'm excited for this man to be joining us. Tony Doherty, welcome to the dos&d show.
Hey.
We have a legend in the house.
Absolutely pumped, mate. How you going?
Going good, thank you. Yeah.
Mate, you've been on planes and conferences and here, there and everywhere.
Running on empty today, but I'm used to that. Pretty busy all the time. But yeah, I did 3 seminars in 3 states in 48 hours this weekend. So I've been talking a lot, but I've tried to preserve my voice a little bit just for today.
Well, we were just kind of talking off air. Where does your passion probably lie at the moment? Because obviously there's a lot to your character and your story that we'll cover hopefully a fair chunk of over the next kind of hour or so. But where does your passion lie currently?
Look, I kind of don't do anything I don't have a passion for, you know. So I'm really fortunate in that I look forward to going to work every day. I get out of bed and I can't wait. I still love going to the gym. I have since I was a kid. I've never really had a real job, and as in like a structured kind of traditional job. Even though I work hard, I love running my bodybuilding shows and running the bodybuilding industry and making it great again because it really needed some fixing, and we've been able to do that. And I love a project. Like I'm kind of a little bit lost. I'm a little bit mentally if I don't have a project. So I need to be building or doing something all the time. So passion is in living. I'm just grateful to wake up every day and go, here we go again. How good is this?
Yeah. How is the bodybuilding industry at the moment? You said like it's been somewhere, now it's somewhere
best
new
it's
and
ever
fresh.
Been. Yeah, best it's ever been. We post COVID. Obviously,
it's our favourite word, isn't it? Yeah.
Obviously, the expo thing died because of that, and I'm happy to tell you that story. But coming out of that, we worked at what we could do, and I was ever saying to focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. Well, we've got a great opportunity now to really, really take this bodybuilding craze to another level. And bodybuilding's become increasingly popular the last few years, particularly with the new divisions with classic physique and the board short of the physique class and the bikini class for girls, because all of a sudden it's really achievable. You can train for 12 months and be up on stage and become a star. Whereas the hardcore big open bodybuilding can take you 5, 10, 15 years, to really make your mark. So I think because that entry level's become available to everyone, it's become achievable, we've never been in a better spot. We've gone from getting, for example, our biggest Arnold weekend in the amateur bodybuilding show, which went for 3 days. It was all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. We'd have about 250, 300 athletes. Now I'm getting 300-400 in my state shows, which we do in one day.
Wow.
So it's insane, yeah.
So, and it's probably a good talking point, obviously, as we recording this. Obviously, we just had the Olympics come and go. They're talking about enhanced games, all this sort of stuff. Where do you sit with athletes and tampering and playing with, performance-enhancing drugs? And where does your mindset kind of sit around that?
Well, I'm pretty non-judgmental, all right? And there's a lot of reasons for that. I guess I'm suspicious of everyone. I don't believe everyone. I think everyone kind of lies.
Yeah.
And that's always my first thought. Yeah, sure. Right? And I think drugs have been prevalent in sport or performance-enhancing hacks, if you like, since day dot. And everyone always seems shocked when someone gets caught, with drugs in their system. Remember when Lance Armstrong got done, with EPO in his blood after winning all those Tour de France races. Everyone goes, oh, really? I mean, these guys go for 30 days, straight up and down mountains, there was a whole lot of, I think they were Dutch cyclists died in their sleep in their 20s. They couldn't work out why their blood was so thick. They knew what was going on.
Yep.
Right. It was only when they figured out what it was and they had a scapegoat for it that he got caught. But he was beating guys by whether it was 5 minutes or 5 seconds. And they were like, yeah, none of them were on drugs. It was just him.
Yeah.
Right. So there's always, it makes me just like, come on. And then, they're always going about the Chinese swimmers. And people say it's a bit un-Australian for you to say what I'm about to say. But I'm like, we'll break a record that a Chinese swimmers had for years. And no one batters an eyelid. And we've got 25 million people in our whole country. They've got 25 million fucking swimmers. Right?
Yeah.
Just break it down.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the Aussies are taking anything, but I'm sure the Americans and Chinese look at us with our small population and go, geez, there must be something in the water out there.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm never ever shocked when someone pushes the boundary or takes it. And because I work and have interviewed so many athletes for so many years, I understand the mindset of an athlete. And most athletes will do anything to win, anything. So it's not such a moral dilemma, particularly if they think everyone else is doing it. So where do I sit with it? I just think it is what it is. And people talk about it should be an enhanced games. Well, there already is. I mean, these people, are a little naive and, probably hate me for saying it, but in most sports, they're taking something that's not detectable.
Yep.
All right. And if you look at, go back a step. Remember when, I think it was Marion Jones, a great American runner, and a whole lot of other Americans got done for drugs years and years after they won their medals, and they all got taken off them. And it was a compound they called it Clear. And a doctor, I think it was Victor Conte, basically got a steroid. And the way they test for steroids, they've got to put that particular steroid, let's say it's stanozol, into the system, and then they can test for metabolites of stanozol in the urine. But they've got to have the sample to put into the system. So this clever doctor in America, he made a steroid which was undetectable unless they had a sample. He didn't give anyone any samples. He just gave it to the athletes. Years later, someone felt a little guilty and sent a vial of this stuff in. They put it back into the system, retested all these athletes. They go, shit, they were all taking it. Yes, they were. Because they thought they got away with it. They didn't even think it was morally bad because it wasn't on the system. And then, it's a really difficult one. And you go to the alleged drug scandal with Essendon Football Club. I know you had Hurdy and those guys on your podcast. And I really felt for them because no one tested positive for anything.
Yeah.
They were pushing the envelope, but the way I read it and understood it was that they were staying on the right side of the law, even if they were kind of right on the edge. But the fact that they had young guys doing injections, I think that's what sent the whole media and everyone into a frenzy. If they had been mixing some amino acids in the water or having a capsule, maybe it wouldn't have been such a reaction that it was. And I'd like to think that all the footballers don't take anything. I worked in the AFL as a weights coach for Carlton for 5 years. I didn't see any evidence of anything like that. But when you talk Olympic sports and professional sports, dude, they're all taking something. Might be shooting, they're taking a better blocker so their hand doesn't shake.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that play chess have been done for taking nootropic drugs, modafinil and this kind of stuff to make them focus.
Yeah.
So, I've watched and studied and seen, I think, everything you could possibly see. So it's a long answer, but fuck.
Yeah.
No, it's a fascinating one, though.
Even with that Essendon thing, like, I really hear what you're saying in terms of pushing the envelope. There's probably more people pushing the envelope than probably what anyone else thinks. They just probably got caught, like you said.
Yeah, they got caught. They were a bit daft about the way they went about it because it was systematic,
Yeah.
And I think that's what the Eastern Bloc countries back in the days and the Russian teams and now the Chinese teams, people go, but it's systematic doping. Yeah, it is. But like the guy that's in charge of the Chinese swimming team's an Aussie. He retired and they snapped him up. Why?
Yeah.
I don't know any of these facts, but I just as an outsider, I look at it and go, hang on a minute. We break a lot of world records in swimming. Water's water, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, and I'm interested to hear, like, going back a little bit as well. So I'm probably thinking maybe even when you got started yourself. So my old man, he was bodybuilding as well in the 80s, and he tells stories about the first time steroids were offered to him, even trialing them. But I'm interested to hear the mindset in that around that time period of what it was like when you were presented with the opportunity to take them.
Well, I grew up in a country town in Bendigo. I fell in love with bodybuilding when I was about 14. Quick story, because you'll probably ask me how did I get into all of this. The answer is an easy one. I was watching TV one night with my dad. It was like, it might have been the Don Lane show or Mike Willis, I don't know, someone. And Arnold came on TV. He was out here promoting his book called The Education of a Bodybuilder, which was like, late 70s, I guess, 78 or something. And I saw him. I'm like, what the hell's that? I was just fascinated. And not just with his muscles and his veins and all that, but his whole persona and his whole confidence. I'm like, I've never seen a human like this. I'm saying, Dad, what's that? And he goes, it's a bodybuilder. And what's that? He goes, they pump up their muscles and I go, can anyone look like that? Can anyone do that? And he goes, yeah, find out about it, study, work hard, maybe lose a bit of weight because it was a little bit tubby. He's just like, you just go for it, figure it out. So I joined the gym immediately and I said, all I want for Christmas or my birthday, whatever's coming up, is that book. And I read that book till it fell to pieces. It's the only bit of Arnold memorabilia I still don't have because I literally read it and decided that I was going to be a bodybuilder, a gym owner and a promoter from that day. I'm like, I don't want to do school. I don't want to do university. Fuck that. I got my passion. And I'm like, if everyone can look like that, why doesn't everyone look like that? That was my conundrum. Like, why wouldn't you want to get around with a rig like that, Yeah. And at that age, you want to impress
100%.
girls and you want to be popular and you want to stand out. And I never wanted to be normal, I remember the careers teachers that come to school and they'd be like, you can work in a bank or you can be an accountant or you can be a school teacher. I'm like, fuck, I prefer to die. Really, I look at all these miserable people. And I just had this awakening from when I was really, really young that I wanted more. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to meet all these famous people. I wanted to be a star. I wanted to be something different, And Arnold was my light bulb moment, So back to the steroid thing. So I started bodybuilding. I was going along, and I was making pretty good progress. I was a big kid. I was like, 100 kilos in year 9 or year 10. Big, thick-chested, big back, but didn't have that kind of definition and maturity.
On that, year 9, what could you bench in year 9?
Look, I was never really big on benching. I never wanted to be a powerlifter.
Why are we all so obsessed with benching?
I know. Everyone asks me, how much do you bench? I haven't benched for like 20-something years. In fact, when my chest was at its biggest, when I was 115 kilos with no skin, I didn't do bench presses. I do flies and dumbbells and machines.
Sorry.
Yeah, but no, it's a standard question,
Yeah.
But I'll tell you a funny story. The first time I just started going to the gym, and it was after the 1980 Olympics, and I'd seen the weightlifting, right? And I'm like, that looks like fun. So me and my mate, we were going to this YMCA gym in Bendigo. We went to the gym, and I'll come back to this, but I've always said this thing: if someone tells me I can't do something, I'm like, I double down. I'm like, right, I didn't hear that. That you just said I can. So I went along to the gym. And we put one plate, so 120-kilo plate, because they were 44-pound plates. It was the old steel weights with the thin end on each end of a barbell. We put the clamps on. My mate said, you go first. We want to do the Olympic lifts, right? So I cleaned it up to my chest. I'm like, wow, unreal. This is easy. And I popped it up. I hadn't noticed that they do the split, where you put one leg back. Legs. So I've just gone, right? And I've gone over backwards, right? And landed like this, and the bar has gone and snapped both bones in both wrists clean off.
You're kidding.
Right, I'm lying there, there's no mobile phones. And my mates go, shit, we've got to get an ambulance. I go, we've got to go find a phone box. So off he fucked. And there I am sitting there like this. One of the bones is kind of poking through the skin.
Shit.
I'm like, it's a funny thing when I've broken a lot of bones, had a lot of scars over my life. You don't really feel it when you first do it. So I'm getting bored waiting for my mate to come and go, probably should try and straighten him up. So I'm like,
oh, yuck.
Looks better, then the pain kicks in. And, I remember the first doctor at the Bendigo base hospital, we had plaster up from here to here. I'm 15 years old with both my arms in plaster. It's not a great thing when you're a teenager in puberty, Not good. Anyway, had a couple
You just got it.
I just got it.
Right, exactly. And then your mum's got to come and help you wash, and you've got to put plastic bags over your plaster. And it was a terrible time. And, and I was a bit of a scallywag of a kid, drinking and vandalising, a little bit of arson, and all this kind of crazy shit that country boys do. And of course, I got caught running from the scene of a couple of incidents, and saw a kid with 2 broken arms running. They call the Bendigo base hospital. How many kids have got 2 broken arms? 1. So I was always getting into trouble. But where I was heading with that, the doctor said, you'll never lift weights again. Find something else to do. But the first thing they said at the hospital, how'd you do it? And I told them, I said, well, that's that for weight training. You're going to have to find something else. You'll never be able to lift weights again. And straight away, I just thought, I'm going to get another opinion. So I went to the family doctor, Dr. Gibbs, his name was. A funny memory for names. Mum took me along there, and I'm like, oh, Doc, I brushed my arms, and this idiot doctor at the base hospital said that, I can't lift weights again. He goes, he's right. Give up on that. Find something else to do. I'm like, no. So I worked out rehab. I worked out how to build up my forearm muscles, how to make my wrist strong again. And, 3 months later, I was back in the gym, and I've never stopped. Never stopped ever since. So that's how I got started. So go forward a couple of years, and I'm probably 18 or something. And one of the guys was talking about this steroid called Dianabol. They called it the breakfast of the gods. It was a 5 milligram tablet. No one was doing injections back then or testosterone, any of this. But Dianabol was kind of easy to get, apparently. So if I went to the doctor and I said, oh, I want to do bodybuilding, I want to get this Dianabol. And he goes, oh, they've stopped making it. Ciba Geigy just finished. But there might be some left over at one of the chemists or whatever. So I'm like, well, give me a prescription. So he did. So it was all legal. There was nothing illegal. We weren't breaking the law. I'm like, fuck this. Off I went. I couldn't wait to try it. I just thought, I'd read in the magazines that people were talking about, but not openly, but you just knew there was a secret. So I got a bottle. I went to chemist. The chemist says, no, we're out of stock. Ironically, one of them said, go back to the Bendigo base hospital. I think they've got some in the pharmacy there, where I'd originally went with my broken arms. No, this is a couple of years later. And so I got some and I tried it, and I went from a boy to a man in about 6 weeks. I remember I was dieting for my first contest, and I put on 10 kilos of muscle and got lean in 6 weeks. Like nothing, God. Just taking 1 or 2 tablets a day. I'm like, the funny thing is, on the bottles, even then and even with the testosterone and stuff, there'd always be a note saying, this does not aid athletic performance. And straight away, I'm like, well, why do they test for it? What a lie. Which one's lying? Yeah. So I never bought into all of that. And I thought, well, if some people have got, higher testosterone levels than others just by birth, by genetics, why wouldn't we should be able to maybe even to score up a little bit so we can all run faster and jump higher and all this sort of thing. So I never had a moral dilemma with it, never had a health problem with it, then or, so I knew just what my mindset was like, and I wasn't training for no Olympics. I just wanted big arms.
Yeah.
So then when you think about people who are training to be a professional athlete or make a living out of sport, do you think they'd really do that? Fuck yeah. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely. Yeah. I thought originally, you were doing that deflection you were telling us about off air when you went to a different story. But no, that was very well answered.
Yeah, Tony. I just think we should be open about it and talk about it, and also the warning now with kids is that there's so much over information online, and I've heard about young guys not just in bodybuilding, in powerlifting and strongman, and just to go to the nightclub taking dosages that pro athletes wouldn't dream of. I'm serious. Wow. Yeah, because they read on, might be TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or some fucking group where they say, oh yeah, all those professional athletes lie, they don't take 1,000 milligrams a week, they take 3,000 milligrams a week. And then some kid will go, probably lying about that, I'll take 4,000 milligrams a week. And it can kill you. Like, there could be some serious long-term side effects with that. And that's probably my greatest concern, is that the misinformation, the fact that they made it so illegal and so hard to get. I remember, I used to be able to go to the doctor when I was like your age and just go and get whatever I wanted, and I was monitored. The doctor would do your blood test. He'd make sure you weren't doing anything stupid. He'd only give you enough, that was safe. And then one day they said, we're not allowed to do it anymore. We'll be struck off the medical register. So then everyone went to the vet. Then people go and started taking animal steroids. And that only stopped when the Olympic Games was on in Sydney. They shut all the vets down. But up until then, Australian vets were supplying the whole fucking world.
Really?
Yeah, no shit. Yeah. And people go, oh, would you take something that's made for a farm animal? I'm like, a thoroughbred horse might be worth $500,000. They're not going to put any shit into that. I'll take some of that.
Yeah.
I've never kind of been this open on a podcast talking about this, but I think the young guys need to know that you've got to do proper research and homework. Don't just, listen to some influencer or someone who's got an interest in it, or someone who's selling it to you because they're going to say, oh, you need more. So I don't know where it's going to end, but people will always take something to gain an edge.
Yes.
And it's not cheating if everyone else is doing it, right?
Yeah.
And this is how athletes think. They go, yeah, but I know, when I was a kid doing bodybuilding, I'm like, I'd see guys, I knew that they had an edge. And I'm like, I'd come down to Melbourne to train at one of the big Melbourne gyms. I'd see guys the same age go, hang on a minute. They're lifting so much more weight and they're so much leaner and got all these veins all over them. And it was kind of hush-hush secret until I found someone who said, oh, no, they're taking this stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode of the dos&d show with the great Tony Doherty is brought to you by Fleet Plant Hire Solutions. Now, Fleet Plant are the biggest and the best when it comes to earth-moving equipment. I wouldn't be surprised if the great man Tony could lift one of their excavators up above his head. That's how strong he is.
I would love to see it. I'd love to be stacking one of those vans as well. Wouldn't
He
that
could
be great to
deadlift,
see?
deadlift something like that.
He could.
He'd be great. He'd be great out on the work site with the crew at FBH, I reckon.
But you know what the best news is, Dos?
What?
You don't need anyone like Tony Doherty to help you when Fleet Plan Hire Solutions are around.
point.
Just
Good
hand it
point.
to them. Visit fbh.com.au right now for all your earth moving needs. Let's get back to the episode with Tony Doherty.
You're obviously, so well known for. You mentioned you've come from Bendigo, you've moved to the big smoke of Melbourne, and Doherty's gym. Like everyone knows Doherty's gym. Can you maybe share a bit of the story around that first gym opening? And I'm reading a bit about, you came into Melbourne, you had a bit of debt, you didn't want to do the normal 9 to 5 as a kid, like you said, you had a bit of a dream. That first gym, can you share a bit about that?
Yeah, well, I bought a gym in Bendigo, the one that I first started working in. Paid too much for it, got my family into a heap of debt. Had a big ego. I was working at nightclubs and I was this young bodybuilder strutting around like a fuckwit, and didn't understand how much hard work was involved in making a business work. Had no business experience or training in anything to do with running a business or finances or anything. No idea, in other words, NFI. So I moved to Melbourne in 1994, absolutely broke, kind of pretty down and out. I'd fucked everything up. I was 28 or something. And that was 30 years ago that we opened the first Doherty's gym in Brunswick. It was 30 years just gone in April. And, of course, everyone said you can't do it, it won't last. And every time someone says that, I'm like, okay. But I've got a great saying for you and for your listeners. Everyone says, do it to prove them wrong. I learned, it took me a long time to learn it, but I don't say that anymore. I say, don't do it to prove anyone wrong. Do it to prove yourself right. Because then there's a kind of redemption in it for yourself. Where if you do it to prove someone else wrong, well, if you need to prove someone else wrong, either they don't get it or they're going to hate your guts because you had a win. So, the people that you think you're trying to, show them, they fucking hate you anyway. And then when you have a win, they're going to go, he just got lucky.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'll just do it to prove myself right because I've always believed in me. That's always been my gamble as myself. So I moved down to Brunswick with nothing. I mean, a truckload of broken equipment and a big dream. I had literally nothing. So I rented this warehouse, opened the doors up. I remember the first day, no one came, no members, zero. And I didn't have anywhere to live because I literally had come down here with nothing. I had 3 possessions in my life. I had a rice cooker, a vertical grill, which is like a toaster you can do meat in, and a couch. Didn't even have a tally. I had a duffel bag with my clothes and a garbage bag with my shoes. And we'd open at 6 in the morning, close at 10 at night. So I'd get up at 5, have a shower at the gym, walk up to Sydney Road, get a coffee and a newspaper, and then come back with the key as if I'd came from somewhere because all I had was my dignity. I had nothing else left. I'm like, morning, everyone. I've been on the tram. So, I didn't even have a car, man. I was fucking broke. And then I'd work all day through till 10. Then I'd go hide in the car park, wait for everyone to leave, then go. I'd lock up. Good night, everyone. I'm gonna get my lift home, and a tram or whatever, and go hide behind a fucking tree, And then... Of course, all the bouncers that were trained there, they'd be standing out the front telling stories. I slayed all these bitches and I was punching this cunt. And, I'd be like, fucking hurry up. I'm tired. It's cold. It's the middle of winter. Anyway, I'd wait because I never told anyone this at the time. And then I'd let myself back in, sleep on the couch, rinse, repeat, 7 days a week for like a year until I could afford to rent a little shithole across the road, and then eventually we outgrew that building and moved to Western Street where we are now in 1998. And I said, we're going to do a 24-hour gym. And there was not one in Australia. And once again, everyone said, it can't work. You're crazy. I go, well, there's 4 million people. A lot of people do night shifts. They work at the airport or they work in a nightclub or they're bouncers or dancers or fucking bartenders or chefs, like work in hospitals, emergency work. I could go for another 5 minutes of people that work at night. And I think it could work. People need to wind down after work. They're not drinking, they're exercising. Like, what are you going to do? So I opened Australia's first 24-hour gym, and we said we'll be staffed all the time. I didn't believe in that, tap your key and this bullshit. I don't think the tech was available at the time. So we literally had a ceremony that morning that I opened. I threw the keys away. And we never, ever locked that door until the first lockdown of COVID. And I had to ring a locksmith because I fucking really did throw the keys away.
Where they were.
Shit. But you've got to have a little win. So I got to the locksmith before everyone knew about the lockdown, and he just charged me normal rates because a day later he was on. He'd worked it right out.
Wow.
True story.
It's interesting because nowadays with marketing, for example, if if you can build a following, you can create something and create a gym, for example, or a movement, you can create outlandish kind of content that will grab attention. But back then, there's a middle part between the start and growing it to what it has been. How did you market it? How did you create a buzz about it? How did it become the Dohertys that we all know? Whether we've ever stepped foot in it or not, we all know it.
Well, a lot of it was psychology. I've always sort of studied human behaviour and psychology. Not officially, I didn't even finish school, uni, any of that shit. But I've always just been, someone who's very observant and read and learn and just watch behaviour, and I've always been able to read the temperature in the room pretty well. And a really wise friend of mine said way back then, he said, I'm going to give you just some words of advice. He goes, don't build a gym, don't build a business, build a brand. And I'd been to Gold's Gym in Venice, California. It's like a pilgrimage for young bodybuilders. I went over there hoping to see Arnold or someone over there or see some famous bodybuilders, and no one knew me at that time. And I saw what they'd done there, become the mecca of bodybuilding, wherever it and go like a destination. And they offered me the franchise for Australia, and it was $30,000. Wow. I didn't have $30. I'm like, dude, I'm sleeping in a hostel. I thank you, but so I got home. What am I going to call it? I've been promoting a few bodybuilding shows, so people kind of knew who I was a little bit in a very small space. I'll just call it Doherty's Gym. I haven't got to pay anything for that. So I did that, and I decided to build a brand. I thought, well, immediately we'll start doing shirts and hoodies and T-shirts and try and get some famous athletes to come in. And I always thought if we have a really good and legit brand and look after people and create a community, the members will do the advertising for us. So then I thought about, I remember the first ad we did in the Yellow Pages, and all the big gyms had these giant ads. So I took out this little one. It was a few $100, but that's all I had. And I thought I'm going to use reverse psychology. So I just listed all the things we didn't have. So I went, no child minding, no group fitness, no classes, no sauna, no spa, no pool, no bullshit. And they made me change the word bullshit. It was no BS, just weights, boxing, cardio. Wow. And it was my first ad. And then we just stuck with it. You've got to know what your brand is, and you've got to stick with it. And I see a lot of businesses, not just gyms, other businesses, but with gyms where they're pivoting all the time to try and think, I've got to give people, I'll do a survey and see what the members want. And then you've got the lunatics running the asylum, right? And you've got to know what your brand is. You've really got to know it. And I know what my brand is. We do weights, we do cardio, we do boxing, we do coffee. And then we create a place where people want to stay for hours and mingle and meet. We've still got, I'm really proud to say, we've still got, I think, 30 plus members that joined in 1994 that are still members.
Wow.
Yeah, man, 30 years. And we've seen their whole life unfold, seen their children born, their parents die, pain, suffering, wins, losses. And the thing, and I did talk about this a lot in the media during COVID, it's their place to go. It's their safe place. It's where they go to unwind, to refocus, to reset. It's their safe place where they go, and some people play golf and some people ride, bike. Some people run. I've never understood long distance running, but I can understand the mindset of someone who does because it's methodical. Yeah. And people go to the gym not to change their bodies. Sometimes it's just their place of coping. So we've always tried to provide something way outside of what the fitness industry was doing. So I worked out early on that the whole MO of the fitness industry is to oversell, oversubscribe a product. So let's say, I won't say a brand, but one of the 24-hour chains, unstaffed at night, blah, blah, blah. And they get like, retirees or investors, you got a passive income if you buy this franchise and, whatever. And their business plan is that you sign up, you build a gym big enough for, say, 600 members, you sign up 2,000 and just fucking hope they don't come. Just don't provide any kind of service or incentive or community, or just tell them, once every second or third day is enough. And I'm like, what if you had less members? They came every day and they bought a coffee or a shake or a T-shirt when they were there. Better still, what if you built a destination point? So everyone from interstate or overseas that comes to Melbourne goes, if you go to Melbourne, you've got to train at Doherty's gym.
Yeah.
And I think to this day, we probably get more casual visits than any other brand because we've built this destination point. And then over the years, you start to have a few wins. You know, I started out, I had an opportunity to host a TV show, and I always wanted to do TV. It was called Muscle TV. And when we started, I was shit. But they weren't paying, and they weren't great either. So we grew together, and I've always been a student of improvement, trying to get better and better at your craft. So I remember watching that first series thinking, I sound like a fucking idiot. I sound like I've come out of a boxing gym, mate. So I've got to learn to speak better. I've got to learn more cadence of speech. And I've done a lot of MC work. And over the years and working with Arnold and everything, I've got quite good at media and speaking and learning if I'm overseas hosting, for example, to slow down a little bit because Aussies talk so fucking fast and so on. So the first sort of break was Muscle TV. And then I'm like, well, as long as you film it at my gym, I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
Free? I go, yeah, free. Because I thought, well, there's my apprenticeship. I haven't got to pay to go to TV school if I get to host this show. So that sort of opened up a few doors. And then they didn't realise I was doing it. I always put a banner behind. If they're doing legs, for example, I'd have a Doherty's gym banner in the background. I'd give out T-shirts to my mates. I'd be like, while we're filming, I want you to keep walking past the back of the thing with the big Doherty's logo on your back, or pretend you're working out. So I was really good at product placement before they even knew what I was up to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then that grew, and I got better at that. We ended up doing like 8 seasons of that. And then I started training a few AFL footballers that couldn't fix their injuries. I remember Ange Christou from Carlton had a really bad back for a long time, and no one could fix it. Well, I think I know what's wrong with it, and I was really good at exercise prescription. So someone got him to come in, fixed his back. He started playing his best footy again, and he brought Cooter in, and Corey and Jason from North Melbourne came, and so on. And then a job came up at Carlton Footy Club as a weights coach. And I remember I'll go for that. I've never been for a job interview. I was 39. Never in my life sat down for an interview. And Dennis Pagan saw a kind of light in me and said, we're going to give this guy another interview. And I could talk all day about that. But that was another sort of thing that changed. And with all these things, I made sure the gym was always a part of my story and grew with it. And then the expos and the bodybuilding competitions, and then partnering with Arnold and having him go through the gym and promoting it. And all these kind of things added up to where this this brand became like a juggernaut of hype, if you like, you know. And then overseas athletes had come and trained there. So we've had the whole WWE have trained there for years. You know, Triple H has become a good friend. You know, we've had John Cena and Batista and all these guys.
Wow.
And Tiger Woods came to Melbourne after all of his scandal when he did his comeback, and luck would have it that one of the footy clubs didn't want him there while their players were there. He was going to train at the Collingwood, the Lexus Centre. And they said, oh, you can't come in while the footballers are here, you know. And his driver rang me, goes, can we bring him down to your city gym, bro? I go, fuck yeah. I said, I'll put a guard on so no one approaches him while he's training. And we had him there for 2 weeks, 5 a.m. every morning on the dot. One of the most well-trained and well-drilled weights persons I've ever met in my life.
Wow.
The guy, man, his technique, he'd been learning that since he was a little kid. And I didn't let anyone
amazing,
go
isn't it?
near him while he was training. And, of course, he'd tell people. At the end of the 2 weeks, he took a photo with us and signed the wall. And his manager said he hasn't signed a golf ball in 15 years, let alone a wall. Wow. He loves you guys. You know, when he was leaving, he goes, can't tell you how grateful I am that no one approached me 2 weeks every day in the gym. Oh, well, that's what we do. And that spread. He told people, you know. And then I'm like, well, you come here, and now we just had the Wallabies train there, and the UFC guys train there, and the WWE was just at my Perth gym, and so on. So all of a sudden it became this place where a lot of celebrities and actors and elite athletes go because they know that our members kind of get it.
It's a theme we get quite a lot on this podcast. Isn't it? I think of Joey a couple of weeks ago. We've actually had on the screen just a few of people you've come across over the day, and I've got a feeling you might have had something to do with this.
That's Chris Cormier. I took him down to the Carlton Football Club to give the boys a talk. You know, and he's someone who'd messed up a lot over the years, you know, with partying and sort of getting into that celebrity mindset. And I took him down there to kind of tell the guys how not to go wrong. And he put a Carlton jumper on, had a picture with Dennis, and it was a good
Jeez, how they get a jumper to fit.
And he's my best mate in bodybuilding to this day.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yeah. We talk every week,
Yeah,
I've brought him
wow.
out here about 10 times.
Yeah, wow.
That picture, wow.
With
And,
the wrestlers, like, mate, you're looking at 2 kids who just grew up loving WWE.
As soon as you said Triple H,
Yeah, as
we
soon
got
as
very
you said
excited.
Triple H, I was like, what? Like, what are they like? Because obviously on screen they play these big personas.
Man, he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Honest to God, he came to my they were training at the City gym, and I got a message from one of the drivers saying, Triple H wants to come to your Brunswick gym because he's a bodybuilding nut, and all the bodybuilders said, no, go to Brunswick. So next thing he comes in, I gave him. I'll tell you two really quick stories. I gave him, one of our hoodies or whatever. He put it on straight away. We had a picture together, and we just clicked, And I was at the Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. Might have been the year before I emceed it for the first time, but I was already partners with Arnold. So I'm sitting down in the VIP area, and he was behind me. It was pretty cool. I'm sort of sitting in the VIP area, and he was one of the guests of honour. And 2 years later, when I was emceeing it, he got the Lifetime Achievement Award, and I got to introduce him on stage. Wow. So go back to this time. I'm sitting there, and I feel this tap on my shoulder, and I hear this, "Hey, Tony!" I turned around. He'd fucking remembered my name and who I was, and I was so overwhelmed. I'm like, man, that is so fucking cool, And then we've always stayed in touch. He's just been cool. And then when we did the Lifetime Achievement Award, his wife was there, who's I don't know,
Stephanie
McMahon, who's Vince's daughter. Anyway, he grabs me and goes, "This is Tony. This is this cool motherfucker I told you about from Australia."
Wow.
I'm like, what? And she goes, "Can I tell you something?" I go, "Anything, man. I'm a big fan. Like, your dad's Vince McMahon." I'm like, I grew up with wrestling too, And she said, he brought home all these Doherty's T-shirts, and our daughters wear them as nighties, and they still do to this day.
No way.
Wow.
They've been wearing them for years. It's like their favourite stuff. I'll send some more. So it was just little things like that have just been pinch yourself moments, man.
That's crazy.
And I've been drinking with Hulk Hogan, and I've been hanging out with Randy Couture a number of times. People like that I've grown up. And got to interview Shaquille O'Neal. It was pretty cool. Giant of a man.
Yeah, massive. Well, I mean, and one of the questions there's some guests we're fortunate enough to come through the doors, and you're one of them, that has some kind of mystique or persona or enigma about them.
Aura.
Or at least a public perception. And if you Google your name, there's obviously a lot of positive, but then not that there's negative, but there's always headlines of hanging out with probably what the public would perceive as the wrong crowd.
You can say anything. Come on, there's an elephant in the room. Just let it out.
No. So what I'm probably saying is obviously, so yes, there's the bikies and there's and obviously what happened with Toby Mitchell's. But my question is more around, why do you think the media like to sensationalise that stuff? Because you've just told us for the last however long we've been recording these unbelievable stories of obviously triumph, and why do we focus on those negative?
I think it sells papers,
Yeah.
Like they did. They did, and this is what pops up on Google. I mean, it slipped down over the years, but they did a 2-page special on me, Mr. Big, biking mates, drugs in sports, and shootings. He always seems to be there, or some dumb shit like that. Like I was Mr. Big, and then they had all the pictures of, me with different colourful characters, and they'd been following me around for months. I never know.
Oh, really?
I mean, you must be bored. Like, you get up in the morning, go to the gym at like 6 in the morning, go home. I don't really go out.
These are journalists, are they?
Yeah. And they rang me the night before and said, "We're doing this big article on you tomorrow. There's a couple of questions we want to ask, just if you want to refute or anything." And they were saying that, and I said, well, exactly what you guys said. I said, well, you found all the negatives and all the stuff that you think sensational, but what about some positives? Like, I said, our gym's like Switzerland. We don't and can't check people's criminal records when they walk in. Even the cops can't do searches on people now. I said, people come to the gym. How am I meant to know where they've come from? We're people from all walks of life. So we just say, whoever you are, whatever you are. And this comes down to sexuality. It comes down to inclusive. It comes down to race, religion, colour, or colourful background. Leave your fucking hat at the door. Come in, work out, be respectful, put your weights away and leave.
Yep.
Right? And we've always had that rule, and we run a really, really tight ship. And I said, why don't you focus on that? And why don't you focus on how many kids have come out of juvie, or guys who've come out of prison have gravitated to me, and I've mentored them, and they've got apprenticeships and got jobs and become meaningful parts of society. That should be part of your story, for God's sake. Not just, I was there when someone got shot, or I made a comment about drugs and sport because I was being honest, or whatever. But man, they loved it, and it was on the front page. It was a double-page spread. And a lot of it was like joining the dots with my life. I'm like, this is like libelous slander, what the fuck? So I actually contacted a litigation lawyer, and he goes, man, you'll win all day long. He goes, but
really?
It's going to cost you like $80,000 to take it to court. and they'll pay your costs, and then you'll get a little apology in the paper.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, fucking hell, I don't have 80 grand. It's got to be another way. And I've always thought, focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. So I thought, well, and at the time I'd just started talking to the Arnold crew about, I could see this unfolding. So I hired a publicist, Max Markson. And I said, you got to make me look good, bro, because this is all this shit in the paper. And that cost me like 10 grand.
Yeah.
And he ended up working for me through all the Arnold things for years and years. We're still good friends. And he really taught me a lot about how to use the media to my advantage and how to have the photos with the right people so that the Google search, all the bad shit slowly slips down. But it's still there.
But
you can find it if you need to.
One quick question,
there
though.
It is.
Well, yeah. But in terms of that negative press or perceived to be negative press, does that help business at all? Does it have a positive effect? Do people gravitate or not? Or does it have
yes and no. Like, probably scares some people away and also, draws some people in.
Yeah.
But, one of the positives is that everyone paid their bills on time. Everyone thought, geez, this guy's a badass, maybe I just won't fuck with him. So it's
I'm guessing they do put the weight away there, which you don't get a commercial 24/7 gym.
That kind of aura or perception kind of comes in handy sometimes. Not many people test me out, or not many people want to not pay their bills or whatever else. But at the same time, I'm sure that, some people thought, maybe I shouldn't feel safe to go to that gym anymore, if it's this bikey place or whatever. And it never was. It was just we had all sorts of people coming to the gym, and we've probably cleaned it up a lot over the years. But, I was always brought up to give everyone a chance and treat them how they treated me. And I still do.
Yeah.
So if someone's good to me and I'm good to them, I don't really care what they've done in their life or their spare time. And I've got friends and contacts, from leaders in industry through to people that have done jail and been in trouble and everything in between, and I don't shy away from it.
It's interesting because there was a big gym we're from the Mornington Peninsula originally, we're Mornington boys. And when I was right into my fitness, and I loved bodybuilding, when Nitro Gym opened I think it was in Carrum Downs, I signed up, and I remember my parents were so scared that I was signing up there, but I loved it. It was the most amazing gym, and I loved it because it was all these big muscly guys. Like it was just inspiration. It was so good. Like being surrounded by people that I wanted to be like. What was I going to ask? Around Arnold, the expo, when it comes to Arnold Schwarzenegger, you don't get a bigger name in Hollywood probably, especially from the fitness industry. How do you get his phone number, or how do you connect with him? Because that's just crazy.
Look, I think Arnold's the most recognisable person in the world, then and now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because in every country, we've been to, and every continent, everywhere we've been, there's crowds, and it's crazy.
Look at that photo.
What a beast.
Oh, yeah, we're walking through an expo. So that's in Melbourne, that one, yeah. So look, honestly, we go for another hour telling the Arnold stories, but when he had finished being governor, he said he wanted to take the Arnold Sports Festival to every continent. So people think I got lucky or I got a break. No way, man. I strategically planned that if my plan came off, good. If it didn't, what the fuck? At least, I'm never going to have any regrets. And this is how I've lived my life. So when he said that, he said he was going to go and do Spain first, because in Madrid he'd filmed Conan the Barbarian.
Okay.
And he said, when he was in Spain, he said, the next continent we're going to take over is South America. And he chose Brazil. And he went to some people that had an existing expo and moved in with them. So in the meantime, I started an Australian expo called FitX. I was already doing the Australian Pro Bodybuilding Show. It was always 1 or 2 weeks after the Arnold in Columbus, because all of his athletes were in shape. And I didn't have the same prize, but I figured, fuck, they're in shape. Trip to Australia, who wouldn't? So I'd sort of built a good reputation doing that. So I started this little smaller expo called FitX, but I based it on exactly the model that he had in Columbus, Ohio, Madrid, and now in Rio de Janeiro. So I thought, if I do that right, when he looks at Australia, I'm going to be his only choice. Yeah. Right? And I knew he'd worked with Max Markson, so I'm like, Max, if he calls you, and then the head of bodybuilding, Jim Mannion, who'd given me my shot and looked after me, I knew Arnold would call him and say, who do we use in Australia? And someone else. So sure enough, when he's in Brazil, he's doing his speech, and someone said, it might have been a YouTube clip or someone said, you got to watch this. And he goes, the next continent we're going to take over is Australia. We're going to be talking to people there right now. Anyway, I'm fucking sitting there waiting for the phone to ring. And I can't remember the phone rang, or I got an email. But anyway, someone reached out and said,
wow,
we want you to come to Vegas to meet someone in the bodybuilding world. But it was actually a decoy. I was going there for the Mr. Olympia anyway to have this meeting, and Bob Lorimer was there, who was the son of Jim Lorimer, who was Arnold's partner, and they sat me next to him at this dinner, and it might have been lunch anyway. After everyone had eaten, they said, "Oh, can you stay back?" And then they kind of cornered me, and they said, "You've got this FitX Expo. What do you think about combining that with an Arnold Classic?" And I go, "Oh." I was trying to play. Well, you got to use a little bit of psychology. So I didn't want to seem like I was too easy, like home on the first date. It was like, I'm like, let me think about it. I said, because I've got a really good thing going there, and maybe we do an Arnold separately in another city or this. But I'm biting my fucking lip, just going, wow. Anyway, then Bob said, "Well, I'll come out to Australia and check your facilities." And I took him to the MCG and took him to Sport and Aquatic Centre. My mates were running all the security at the Grand Prix. The Australian Open. So we got to go and hold the cup and did all this really cool shit because they had contacts everywhere. And had a good drink with him and down on South Bank. And he goes, "This is the best city for sport we've ever seen. It's better than Spain, better than Rio, like all your facilities and the convention centre." And we did all these inspections. Then I got an email back from them saying, "We need you to come to Columbus, Ohio to have a meeting with the governor, with Arnold, and he'll see if he wants he wants you to be his partner." So off I go. That was March 2014. So I got a new suit made. Right, this is a funny story. This is fucking hilarious. Very, very Australian of me.
Here we go.
So we go to this dinner, and I met Arnold when I was a kid. I paid for a VIP photo with him. You get pushed in front of him. "How you doing?" And you get pushed out another door, and someone gives you a Polaroid, and you just hope it turns out.
A Polaroid.
It was a Polaroid, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was in my 20s, and I knew that day I'm going to be business partners with this guy one day. He's going to know my fucking name. Like, I was obsessed with it. So I go to this dinner, and there's 6 tables set up. One for Europe was Spain, one for South America was Brazil, one for China who were trying to get a license, one for South Africa who were trying to get an Arnold license, and one for Australia. And then Arnold's home team, the Columbus, Ohio, USA team. And each of us like a proper thing with tablecloths and knives and forks. And there's 10 places at each table and a little like flag, Australia. So I went on my own. I didn't know. And the others got like fucking government officials and sponsors and publicists and, ready to make these speeches. And then Jim Lorimer gets up and he goes, "We're going to get one delegate from each country to do a speech and tell Arnold why they should be his partner." I'm there on my own, man. I'm sitting at this fucking big table feeling like a real dickhead. Got a fresh suit on, like, So I'm like, shit, what happens here? So Arnold walks in, and you talk about having an aura. And I've got a little bit of it, but I always think that if you've got it and you know it, you know how to light up a room. And I really inherited some stuff from him. He taught me some really good tricks and gave me all my media training. But anyway, in he walks. I'm like, oh my God, Arnold's just walked in. So he beelines for my table. He goes, "What are you doing there?" I said, "I'm Tony from Australia." We shook hands. He goes, "What are you fucking sitting on your own for? Come and join me at my table." I'm like, cool. No one else got to do that, so I went and sat with him. And when it was my turn to do the speech, and these other people, they had government funding, they had council backing. I got jack shit. The government wouldn't talk to me. The council wouldn't talk to me. The Melbourne major events wouldn't talk to me. I just got shunned and pushed aside and doors shut in my face and blah, blah, blah. I got nothing. So I got up and said, "I've got nothing. This is my speech." I'm like, but I said, "I've got a will to work." I said, "I've got a pre-existing expo which can be just like the Arnold Classic with the best sporting facilities in the world." And I said, if it's 2015, that's 1 year and 1 week from now. I said, what I can tell you, I'm going to work every single day, weekends, weeknights. I'm not going to rest. I'm going to give you the best experience, the best expo you've ever seen. I give you my word. I ain't going to stop. And Arnold started clapping, and everyone started clapping. Go, fuck, I'm in. I'm in. Wow. And then it went from there. Wow. So then I went to every Arnold Classic around the world for the next 7 years. The next one from there was in Rio. I'd never been to Rio. And remember that's how I kind of got close to him, because some of the other partners, English wasn't their first language, and he couldn't really relate to anyone. So he always said to me, "This guy's like my soul brother, he's like a little me, and I'm like, fuck, that's pretty cool."
That's so good.
So we were at this expo in Brazil, and they had this wristband where they let everybody upstairs into this VIP room to get a photo with Arnold if they had maybe an orange wristband. But the dumb security guys just heard wristbands, so let everyone up. So there's hundreds of people in this room, not much bigger than this. And they said, "Arnold's not going to come out and do these pictures unless we get everyone out of here." And Bob Lorimer said to him, I said, what do you want to do? He goes, well, I need your help. I go, I'll clear the fucking room, bro. Give me 5 minutes. He goes, what are you talking about? I worked in nightclubs for fucking a long time. Did a lot of bodyguard work, a lot of, protection work. I'm like, everybody out. I just put my arms out and started fucking pushing people down these stairs. Let's go right now. Come on. Just got the crazy eyes on and just moved them all out and cleared the room. I go, good to go. And they turn around and go, how the fuck? And Arnold comes in and he had his photos with the VIPs, which was only like 50 or 100 people. And they explained to him what had just happened. And he goes, well, when we do the bubble, so with this thing where there's a bubble where we have like 40, 50 security around him, we move through the expo, visit all the big sponsors and visit all the sports. So he said, you're going to come in there with me. And there's some great pictures, there's black and white pictures of him with his arms on my shoulders and I'm leading the gang, and then we did the same thing in Spain and all over the world. And then things just evolved. I was somewhere and he goes, we're going to do this press conference. I need you to go and open it up. It was when Trump was coming up. He goes, I don't want to talk about fucking politics or Donald Trump. And if they do, it's on you. So go out and warm up the crowd. Tell the journalists to fucking leave it alone. You can do this. So this is where I got my media training. Wow. So I remember there was one in Melbourne, actually. It came out, it was 7, 9, 10. Sam Newman was there. But all the actual reporters were there. I came out and said, listen, guys, if you say anything about politics or Donald Trump, he's going to terminate you. I said, this is no fucking joke. I said, I'm going to lose my job. Like, seriously, got any questions about that shit, hit me up. I said, because we're here to talk about the fitness crusade, about getting people off the couch, about changing people's lives. And they bought it. Everyone's like, okay. And then Arnold came in, not one question. He goes, right, you're doing my press conferences from now on. And then as an interviewer, I always wanted to interview him. And I got to interview him in Hong Kong, in Sao Paulo, in Australia, of course, in Columbus. I got to MC his show, which was my big dream in Columbus, right up until COVID hit, in front of 5,000, 10,000 people on TV and everything, and MC'd in Brazil, MC'd in Africa, and just stuff I couldn't have thought up, all because we clicked, And man, I've got so many memories to this day that I just stop and pinch myself and go, just a kid from the bush. But it's not just about having a dream, right? It's also about doing the fucking work in the background that when you get your shot, you're ready. Because if I hadn't have done that expo and I had him call, so maybe we want you to do the Arnold Australia, there would have been 10 people out there, well, there was, with more money, more experience, more contacts, more everything. So I put myself in a position to win. And if you're willing to do that and roll the dice and go, well, fuck it. What's the worst thing that can happen, right? Right? I don't get the gig, but at least I tried. So that's kind of the very short background story of how that happened. And, I just wanted to smoke a cigar with Arnold one day. Man, I've smoked cigars with Arnold in every continent. I remember once he called and he goes, hey, we want to do a show in Asia. We ended up doing Hong Kong, but he goes, I want you to meet me in Shanghai this week. I'm like, okay, I'll get a ticket and off we go. And, we went to all the huge facilities and we talk about swimming. I remember we went to this pool. They were trying to sell us into this multi-sport festival. There was that many thousands of kids diving and swimming. I've never seen more people like this in my life, this facility. Dozens of pools and diving boards. And people say, oh, they don't really swim. Man, they measure the length of their arms and legs and their lung capacity and pull them out of school and put them into those programs when they're this big. I got to do that with him, And then just crazy shit.
It's so inspiring. Yeah. Like that last bit what you said about when you time, just be ready for your moment, because that's, I totally agree with that.
And you say yes.
Yeah.
Like, whenever he'd say something to me, I'd just go, yep, I'm in.
Yep.
Like that. Come to Shanghai this week. I didn't check with him. It was okay.
Yeah.
I remember we were at the Rose Cafe in Venice Beach. All the partners were there. And his assistant called me. He goes, can you be out the front in 10 minutes? There'll be these black SUVs waiting for you. The boss has got a big surprise for you. I go, I'm in. Right? The other said, well, what is it? I go, come on, fuck it, just come. So we go at the front, we get into these SUVs, we drive like into the hills behind the Hollywood Hills somewhere. And it's the place where he keeps his tank, right? And he comes raging around the corner. You'll find it on my Instagram. That's the picture I was talking about with the hands on the shoulders in Brazil where I cleared out the room and he goes, righto, you're in charge. Anyway, so he's got this tank, right? It was actually the actual tank that he was in the Austrian army when he escaped to go and do his first bodybuilding show. And he managed to find it, source it, get it shipped to America. And he keeps it at this movie prop place where they keep all the war machines, to make war movies. But it's Arnold's tank. So we're waiting there and I hear this rattle and this fucking all this noise, this motor, and this thing comes. He pops up out of the manhole, pulls up and he goes, Tony, get in. And so I got into the other manhole and all the other partners climbed all over it. And he takes us bush bashing in his tank. I'm like, this is the coolest day of my life, man.
I think I've seen that footage.
Yeah.
I reckon I
I'll
have.
put it all, it's all on my Instagram. Tony Doherty Oz, if you want to check out some of this shit. I was in his office one day. He said, "Have you ever you've seen the gun, right?" And he goes, "What? This is the Terminator gun." He goes and gets me the shotgun that he has on the Harley, from the Terminator. And then he goes, "And what about the Conan sword?" So I got to hold the Conan sword. I mean, just shit.
Yeah, that's insane.
Honestly, there it is. There's the tank.
Look at his head.
Yeah, we've both got a cigar going. I'm in the other manhole, and we're raging around this bush.
It's unreal.
And it always sounds wanky telling these
No, it
stories.
doesn't.
No.
People really go, well, there's pictures. But we got to do some really, really cool shit, and he mentored me and he took me under his wing. And we were going strong, man, until the pandemic hit, and my expo got shut down 5 days out. I'd been to America, I'd emceed the Arnold Classic there, and we'd heard about this virus, and they shut the expo down halfway, but they let the sports go ahead. Flew back, I think we're going to be okay. Then I got a call 5 days out, and it was Peter King from the convention centre said, "We're padlocking it tonight at midnight, bro, it's over." Well, shit, I lost 870 grand in one phone call. I'd had my staff on for a year. I'd done all the billboards on the freeways. I'd paid for the ads for Triple M and Fox and all that. And they'd done all their ads. They'd delivered. So there's no refund on wages and all this. So we'll do it next year. It got cancelled again. So it was no more, and all of a sudden this unbelievable life I'm living, right? I was away from home 7 months of the year, living in the best hotels in the world, eating in the best restaurants, just doing cool shit with the Terminator, listening to his stories.
Living your dream, mate.
Man, and he'd take me on safaris in South Africa and, stuff. I could go on, honestly, all day about the incredible experiences that we had. And oh, shit.
What's your relationship like now with Arnold?
Well, I haven't seen him. I've seen him once since all that happened. And I was at the Olympia a couple of years ago and I was in LA just for one day passing through. And we didn't get time to drop in. I didn't want to just drop in, without notice. And I got an email from him. "You arsehole, you're in Los Angeles. You didn't even come and see me. It's Christmas time. What the?"
Oh.
And I emailed him back, and then I was there just in May.
You arsehole.
Something like that. Not really, but something like that. Anyway, we're at this. I was there just in May, just gone. Well, I'm not going to make that mistake again. So I called his assistant, and he goes, "Man, he'd love to see you, but he's in Canada now filming another Netflix. I think it's the second part of that FUBAR. Anyway, you just missed him. So he just sent a message to say, sorry, couldn't catch up, but next time, please, drop in and see me." So, I got his secretary's number and I know where his office and his house is. And, I've got to, go to a couple of parties at his house. And, I got to have a glass of wine and a cigar with his best friend ever, Franco Colombo, just before he died. And it was, one of the most special nights of my fucking life, man. know. And just stuff like that. And there's stuff that obviously I won't even discuss in a podcast I've done with Arnold that is just unbelievable, man. It's like to get to know your idol, but then to travel with them, kind of live their life. And the people I met through him, it's insane.
Mate, it's unbelievable because, like you said, like some people would say it's luck or whatever, but it's clearly not. It's years of timing. It's years of preparation, like you said. It's been one of the most inspirational podcasts we've probably done, and mate, I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface.
No, we haven't.
So
That's the problem. Every time I do one of these, I go, we're going to cut it short. Shit.
Yeah, I know. We're going to have to do a part two shortly. I got one quick question for you, and it's a bit different. So, in all your years of owning gyms, what's the worst injury you've seen due to ego lifting? So, I'm imagining bodybuilders showing off in front of the women. Things like that. Have you ever seen something just...
Probably dickhead me breaking both of my wrists and both arms. That was pretty right up there. Honestly, I haven't seen anything really, really bad. I kind of run a tight ship. If someone's doing something wrong, I go up and approach them. And
cool.
If it's dangerous, I say, listen, you can't do it because it's dangerous. Or even to this day, I'll go through a gym. If there's young guys particularly doing exercise wrong or they're going too heavy, I just stop them. Go, can I show you something? I'm not going to charge you or anything. I just want to.
Are they pretty receptive to it?
Don't want you to waste your time because when I was coming up, there was no one. I had no mentors in the gym. I had no one who could really teach me how to train. And so I wish that there had been someone because, I'd always be hurting myself or trying to lift too much weight and not doing it correctly. And then when we started Muscle TV that was a way of teaching the masses good form. And I know you watched it, and it was always about mind in the muscle, good form. So to this day, I still do it. I can't stand watching someone do something wrong. And if occasionally someone go, I know what I'm doing, my mate so-and-so, I go, no worries, as you were, bro. But most people were really receptive and grateful for it. So honestly, I haven't seen much.
No, that's a good answer.
I got one more question as well. It's about reading. I read about Doherty's. I would love to hear your opinion and why you guys decided to ban the whole tripods thing in gyms.
I just got fucking sick of it, man. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, they were doing my head in.
Yeah.
I don't want to be violent anymore. But one day I went to the gym and there was 7 people using tripods in one room in my gym. I'm like, I'm going to fucking wrap that fucking thing up and I'm going to wrap it around this prick's head. Like, it was out of control. There was young people, there was old people. I've got to film it for my coach and send it in. I'm going, just stop. Then I started to think about it. I'm like, so I started doing this thing every week about gym etiquette on my Instagram. And for some reason, this one went viral. I mean, look it up, it's had hundreds of thousands, maybe even 1 million views now. Like, it went nuts. I got calls from the New York Post. I was on TV in Singapore, Malaysia, New Zealand, London. Every radio station here wanted to know about it. And it was just because I had the balls to say what everyone was thinking. And I'm like, one, it's a trip hazard, right? It's dangerous and it's in the road. And it's one rule for everyone. So if everyone brings one, it's a fucking circus.
Yeah.
Right? But secondly, I'm really big on people's privacy. Right? And I go, look, not everyone wants to be in someone else's movie in the background. And start off, there's women with intervention orders against ex-partners, right, who want to hunt them down and kill them, who are just waiting to see them in the background of something so they know where they are. Right? So, no, not on my watch. There's celebrities, right, who are on a leg press with their fucking legs in the air, sweating their ass off. Might be a glamorous actress who doesn't have her makeup on or doesn't have her publicist. No one's got the right to have her in a thing. It might be a crook, right, who doesn't want to know. We've got a high court judge trains in the gym. I'm sure he doesn't want to be in someone's fucking movie.
Yeah.
And so on and so on. I can go on for an hour about reasons that people deserve privacy. I remember I was on TV in New Zealand and they were kind of having a little dig. Going, but whingy fucking New Zealanders. But everyone's got a right to bring it in if they want to. I go, well, hang on a minute. I go, imagine, what's your name? She goes, I can't remember what it was. Let's say she was Sally. She goes, Sally. I go, imagine you're Sally, the food critique, and you decide to go into a restaurant, set up your fucking tripod without asking. I didn't drop the F-bomb because I was on the morning show or something. I go, set up your tripod without asking anyone. Film yourself eating your meal, critiquing the meal, telling everyone how important you are, right, with other people walking past in the background. Now, it's one rule for everyone. There's 50 tables in a restaurant. All of a sudden, we've got 50 tripods of people filming each other eating. It's a trip hazard, right? It's an invasion of privacy, and nowhere in the world would that be okay. And she'll be like, okay, would it be okay or not? Oh, I guess not. I go, well, why is it okay in gyms? And it happened, I think, post-COVID, because everyone's had to film their workouts to send to their coach. Then it just snowballed, man. Honest to God, I went there one day, there's so many tripods. I said, no more fucking tripods. Sorry, you can't do that, you're going to lose members. Man, I gained members. It was the greatest publicity stunt of my life. And I didn't set out to do that, but sometimes there's good consequences to tough decisions.
Yep.
And he goes, are you sure you're going to offend someone? I go, I offend people every fucking day, I don't care. I don't want to see a tripod in my gym again.
Yeah.
Right? And if they want to book in and buy a media pass, and we'll give them guidelines where there's no one in the background, or they can come after hours when it's quiet, or they can set up in a corner where no one can walk past, or whatever. Short of that, no more. Now, my best mate, Steve Weinberg in New York, has got the famous Bev's gym, which is the East Coast Mecca. They brought that rule in. There's gyms all over the world now messaging me go, we got rid of the tripods.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So that's the why. It's just the right thing to do, And so many times, same with putting weights away. I did one of my gym etiquette ones about why it's not okay to leave your weights on a machine. No one's entitled. I mean, I'm not special. You're not special. And I say that to members. I put my weights away. The fuck are you? And I've had some heavies.
I love that.
You can't speak to me like that. I go, do whatever you got to do, bro. But you're still not special. Like if Anthony Koutafidis or Triple H or any of my celebrity athletes can put their weights away, really? Medium-sized, nobody, mid-tier body you
Tradie.
can leave your weights out? Fuck that. So I'm really, really strict on it. And people know. They come to the gym. The tripod thing's been a huge win because it's changed, I don't know, single-handedly I've kind of pulled the culture back.
I haven't seen barely any of it.
No. People go to the gym to train. I mean, I'd like to ban fucking phones. Because my other thing is, you want to use a machine, someone's sitting there scrolling on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok in between the sets. It's easy to do. I've done it, But 1 minute turns into 5 minutes. And all of a sudden, this equipment can't get used by the other 10 people that want to use it. So if I could maybe check your program, because some people have their programs on a thing, change your music, no problem. But train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really big on that. I can't ban phones just yet. But tripods, that was a real win, man.
Yeah,
Fuck.
bloody oath it was.
But never thought it would blow up like that. Like,
unreal.
What? Yeah.
Well, Tony, I mean, we're obviously running out of time, but
And we've got another special segment.
We're getting the greasy eyes from the producers over
Well,
there.
we do
I knew
have to
this
get-
had happened. I don't apologise.
we do have a very special golf box segment, so we'd love you to take on the golf box putting
Let's
segment.
go. Let's do it.
Before we do though, we've got some presents for you for coming on the show, courtesy of our sponsors.
So Fleet Plan Hire Solutions, love you guys. The number one earth moving equipment company in Australia.
Yep.
They're sending Tony home with a bunch of golf stuff, a little golf pack, which is exciting. And then what a golf box sending Tony home
Golf box are sending you home with some exclusive golf balls, actually, courtesy of them, which is fantastic. You're also going to...
I thought I was going to get a backhoe or a ride-on mower or
Yeah,
something.
that's what everybody said.
Everyone's,
Yeah.
they're waiting for the
All right.
bobcat.
But you're
Joking.
also about to play, so you're going to take on the putting challenge. And if you can win this thing against all the other guests on the show for the year, they're going to generously donate $1,000 to a charity of your choice. So you have to choose a charity to play for. But we're about to have some fun. How do you go with your putting? Firstly?
Shit, I'm the worst
Shit?
golfer in the world.
Well, you know what? That could be good. Who
Look,
knows?
but who knows? I haven't golfed for a long time. The problem was my dad took me out to play golf when I just started weight training. It was so big and strong, I thought I'm going to hit the fuck out of this ball.
Yeah.
And I've minced it every time since. Every time I go back, think, all right, calm down, hit it a bit soft.
This is a little tap. This is a little tap.
Yeah,
Tap it in.
nah.
But we should say to everybody listening, if you do love your golf and you want your best golf equipment, even golf attire, golfbox.com.au, fast and free shipping all around Australia, the best in the business. Trust me on that. We're going to take on the Golf Box Challenge. So if you're listening, head over to YouTube. Make sure you watch this part because this will be very interesting. But Tony, thank you so much for your time. Again, how do we find you on Instagram? I know you said it.
Tony Doherty, Oz, O-Z. But honestly, and I answer every message I get. That's the best way to communicate with me. And I really appreciate everyone that messages and follows and enjoys my story and journey and learns from it and sends all the encouragement. So thanks to everyone for watching. And thanks, guys, for having me on.
Love that, mate. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Awesome.
Let's get putting.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Golf Box segment. And Tony Doherty is about to take on the putting challenge. Firstly, Tony, before we explain the rules, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Feeling good?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's obviously going to go off the cuff. There's been no practices, of course, so we're going to see how he goes. Now, he's going to putt in front of his good mate Tiger Woods, who hopefully might have gave him a couple pointers over the journey. But this is the way the game's going to work, Tony. You got to putt 6 balls in 60 seconds.
Yep.
The scoring works like this. So, Dos, I want you to point out, 50 points is that if you land it flush in that dot.
Yep.
Working backwards, 25, 20, 15, and 10 in any of that square.
Yeah.
That black line is 5, 3, 3, and 1. Anything off is 0. But here's a killer. For 100 points, which you may need to win,
Yep.
you want to hit that dot, and it needs to land flush on that dot.
That dot there.
You got to land it flush on that dot.
Right,
Now,
let's do it.
we are playing for charity.
Yep.
$1,000 to a charity of your choice. If you win in the next 6 months, who's the charity you'd like to play for?
I haven't really thought about that, but I'll come up, if and when I win, I'll come up with one. Or you guys, you can suggest a deserving one.
All right,
yeah.
that sounds good. Well, we'll get you set up, and we'll get the timer ready in a moment.
All right.
And Tony Doherty is about to begin putting. On your marks, get set, and away we go. First putt underway.
What's that? Is that a 5?
Oh, that's a 5.
I'll do better than that.
Get that scoring going, lads. It's a 5. It's a 5. It's all right.
Second putt on
Bit
its
heavy.
way. 20?
Give it that.
20?
Yep, 20. That's 25. Looking strong early, Tony. Come on.
Oh,
I was
3.
going for the dot.
28.
He needs about 125 to win. Here he goes.
Oh, he's gone out. What's
10,
10.
Right.
38. 2 to go. Come on.
2 to go. Here we go.
Oh,
What's that?
5. Last one.
Is
Go.
that 33?
This is a
33.
bit addictive. I want to keep going now.
I reckon go for it. Go for the dot.
Head to golf box and you can buy one.
He's gone the whole way. That's off the board. So unfortunately,
Off
we
the
won't
court.
probably be won't be winning today. But thank you so much for playing, Tony. Really appreciate it.
Hey, you're welcome.
And of course, for everybody, head to golfbox.com.au. You can get this mat. You can get the spider putter.
Tony likes it, so I reckon Tony might.
I might
Yeah,
get
we
one
might
for
get
the
one.
office, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect
Yeah, cool.
office
Cool.
edition.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate
All right,
it. Thanks
guys.
for watching, listening. Appreciate it.